And you know, HR, we've come a long way.
Yes.
You know, now people are becoming very much more aware of personalizing the experience, because it's all about the experience. It's like the customer's experience, the customer's journey. It should be the same, the employee journey. You know, so that whatever gaps and loopholes there is, you can upskill the person. And even if the person leaves you, they take something of yours with them.
Exactly.
And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And, you know, wherever they find themselves, they know that, for example, if they ended up at Kusi Consulting, they might have picked something from RegTrain, but then it's benefiting Kusi Consulting because they built that, and I've taken my time to train the person, and then now you are reaping off that.
Exactly.
You know, so it's very important that we place a whole lot of value on upskilling people, adding value to the person, not just for the business, but for the individual, because if the individual is fully equipped, it translates into the role.
Exactly. And when they leave, they are the mouthpiece of your organization, right? So whatever you did, however you developed them while they were within your organization, it reflects on you, the past employer.
Definitely.
So.
I mean, succession planning is one of the critical ways to upskill someone or even to develop their talent without having to pay anything other than timing. And if planning is done properly,
it
you're
works.
good to go.
Wow, this is, I don't want this to come to an end. So, I mean, I've been following, you have rebranded, I'm loving the new image. Tell us a bit about your services, where people can find you, if you have any jobs available.
Yeah, so basically we do pretty similar to what you do, which is the HR services. So when it comes to recruitment, when it comes to training, staff development, we do that. In actual fact, this year, that is what we're doing at the moment, and I'll talk a bit about that later. And then we also do payrolling, and we do some advisory services as well. And one thing that we love doing is making sure that we can take your events, plan it, the logistics and everything, execute it, and just make sure that everything is on point without you having to even worry about anything.
Wow.
Which is the corporate events planning that we do.
Good.
But this year practically is more to do with the training, which is staff development.
Yes, I've been seeing.
Yes, we've been doing quite a lot. It runs through from now till December. And obviously coming up next week is the leadership and management workshop, which is an amazing workshop. It's absolutely amazing. It's a 2.5-day workshop, but it really equips people with leadership and line management responsibilities on how to manage your team, how to be creative with your team, how to make sure that you are delegating effectively and strategically. You're making sure that each and every single person, their skill set is being able to put together and bringing together the loopholes. So
it's not just for HR.
It's not for just HR.
Managers.
It's just anybody with line management responsibilities. Last year when we even had individuals that wanted to learn about leadership and how to manage a team and stuff like that. So we've got quite a bit upcoming. We're using social media.
I've been keeping up. But it's good. I mean, this is why we're having this discussion when it comes to staff development. So I
think with the recruitment,
I hope you're listening.
With the recruitment, we have a couple of roles coming up, almost sealed up, but people should keep checking on our website because we're still working on it.
And what's
a couple
your
of senior level roles as well.
And what's your website?
www.regtrain.com.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So is there anything else you want to close with that maybe viewers should know regarding either RegTrain or staff development?
I think the most important thing for me that I want to leave with people is that, you know, knowledge is power. Read when you have the spare time. You know, don't just wait on your client or on your employer to take you and upskill you. You can upskill on your own way. And there are tons and tons of information on there. Set aside a particular day, 2 hours a day. Read. Just read on anything. You can go on Google, you can type in anything. Read on the industry you are in, industry that is affiliated to you, and upskill yourself. You can learn how to use Word, PowerPoint, and all those things. Importantly is that training and developing yourself is a continual process till we go to our grave.
Exactly.
So you've got to start now.
And it starts with you. It starts with you, the individual.
It really does.
You know, and I think if employers even start to see you taking a more proactive towards it, then they would be more than willing to support you in that way. Knowledge is power. You heard it here. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for making your office available. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in to today's episode. It has been an exciting one, and I hope you took a lot of information away from watching this episode. Thank you again to our sponsors, Nationwide Medical Insurance. We have Adansi Travels and AH Hotel. See you next week.
You are live on AAU TV, and welcome to AAU Talks this morning. And this morning we have in the studio two wonderful guests, and we are going to discuss issues concerning technical and vocational education in Africa. Specifically, how can we industrialize Africa, and how can we make sure that our TVET institutions are better placed in positions to take over in the industrialization agenda of Africa. My name is Kosi Sam, and I am the host for this section.
Are you an institution or individual? Do you intend to organize a memorable event to be archived for future reference? Then look no further than AAU Studios, because it's your best bet with our spacious studio and state-of-the-art media equipment such as 4K Panasonic video cameras, KinoFlow lights, assorted microphones, live streaming equipment, among others. You are sure to get the best of productions. Visit us at Trinity Avenue, East Legon, adjacent the National Accreditation Board, or contact the AAU Studios via the following email addresses: info@aau.org, AAUTV@aau.org, or ransford@aau.org. Alternatively, you can call us on +233 244 736280.
In the studio this morning, I have two gentlemen, Mr. Samuel Thompson, and Mr. Samuel Thompson is the coordinator for planning, research, monitoring, and evaluation at CODVET under the Ministry of Education, Ghana. We also have Mr. Isaac Boama, who is the head of administration at NAPTEX here in Ghana, and NAPTEX is also under the Ministry of Education. We are live on Facebook, and you can join us by just going onto the AAU Facebook page, that is Association of African Universities. You can also join us on our Twitter feed, that is AAU_67, and we welcome all of you to join the discussion. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you.
I hope we are all doing well.
By grace.
Great. And so Africa, we have been looking at issues and ways of industrializing our economies. And we always fall on the educational system to produce people who are skilled, people who have the knowledge to make sure that our industrialization agenda is set. And you cannot do it without taking into consideration technical, vocational education and training in Africa. It looks like a lot of us don't know what TVET is all about. We all have some kind of misconceptions about TVET. Let me start with you, Mr. Thompson. Could you just brief us what is TVET, what TVET entails, and what is the agenda of TVET on the continent?
Thank you very much.
Right.
And let me say a good day to our listeners.
Great.
TVET is basically the driver of industry, the world of work,
Okay.
and life generally. it is only through TVET that you get the knowledge and skills required for all the activities that you would want to engage in. So before I'd want to even mention what people would consider to be the explanation or what TVET stands for. In several jurisdictions, people have had different terminologies for TVET. By its function, people would want to call it occupational education.
Okay.
Some would call it professional education. Some would call it vocational education and training. What we call TVET, technical and vocational education and training, in other places is vocational and technical education and training.
Yes.
So that should tell all of us that it is an embodiment of the knowledge, skills, and the practical orientation that is required for production, enhanced productivity, driving the very essence of life. So even if you look around here, you see TVET at play.
Okay.
You see the cameras. It is only the skill of the cameraman that will make him capture the pictures accurately, and that is transferred. That action of getting it accurately transferred is a skill. So normally when we talk of TVET, we would not leave it at just the acquisition of practical knowledge, the orientation of knowledge, skills, and quality of action.
Okay.
That will actually will be transferred to the world of work. But we'll look at how TVET will end up in producing the appropriate skills, which of course I like so much this topic you brought on board, because it is the skills that would feed industry. So then basically every jurisdiction that would invest in TVET is, in other words, investing in industry. But you will never realize it until it is matched appropriately and then the right skills are developed from the systems you put in place to set up your TVET sector.
Okay.
So basically, TVET is what drives the economy, what drives life, what drives industry, the skills you need for your everyday life.
Okay.
And that is TVET.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Bowman, let's really come from this angle, where in Ghana, for instance, we call all our TVET institutions vocational schools, we call it technical schools. If we are looking at TVET institutions, which institutions are we looking at?
Thank you very much. And good morning to our cherished viewers. While we are talking of TVET institutions in Ghana, we have about 288 of such institutions.
Here in Ghana?
Here in Ghana.
Okay.
Unfortunately, is that the private ownership is about 180. The government or government-related one is about 100. So it means that the private sector is mainly championing the TVET in a way or the other. It has now come to the realization that the government have to reposition TVET institutions so that there will be a joint partnership between government and the private, so that we can achieve what we intend to achieve. And that is getting the needed competencies and skills and attitudes to drive our industries.
Okay, so when you're looking at the TVET institutions, we are looking at the secondary schools, what we know traditionally as technical and vocational.
Yeah.
And then what else? Are there other institutions that are classified under TVET?
Yes, so let me just take off from where my colleagues just...
Okay.
The 288 are basically for the public sector.
Okay.
Yes, so then that has come into being because of government's orientation of pulling all the TVET institutions under the Ministry of Education. Prior to this arrangement, we had about 19 ministries all engaged in some form of TVET.
Okay.
So then if you take the Ministry for Employment and Labor, they have MVTI. And in Ghana, almost every technical school is referred to as an MVTI institution.
Okay.
That is not the case. That is erroneous.
All right.
MVTI institutions under the Ministry of Employment and Labor, there are 34. And the Employment and Labor, they have OIC.
Okay.
Then they have ICES. ICES is Integrated Community Centers for Employable Skills. So under Employment and Labor alone, they have 98 TVET institutions. And then you come to the Ministry of Education, the GES, the TVET section under GES. They have 47 TVET institutions. Then you take local government and rural development. They have the Community Development Vocational Institutes. You take youth and sports under the National Youth Authority. They have the Youth Leadership and Skills Training Centers.
Okay.
It goes on and on, on and on.
All right.
So you have about 19
categories.
Ministries,
Okay.
all doing some form of TVET. And that is what makes the role of CODVET very critical, because CODVET had the mandate to coordinate across
All of them.
all of these.
Okay.
And so if you needed to get some action through, you need to engage all the sector heads.
Which is very tedious.
So those who come along easily, it's easy to get through and get things running. Those that will not come across easily, then it takes some time to bring them on board. So with this direction of government to put all of them under the Ministry of Education is one of the best things. Yes. And all of them coming under the Ministry of Education is going to be called the TVET service.
Okay.
So with the new direction, we are going to have the TVET service. They'll basically be the training providers doing the normal training. Then you have the regulator, that's CODVET, still in the middle to coordinate and ensure that there's quality assurance in TVET delivery, there's research and all of that working across.
Okay.
And then there's going to be the third wing, that is the qualifications and awarding bodies.
Okay.
So like my brother here said, NAPTEX basically would look at assessments and qualifications.
And examinations as well.
And examinations
Okay.
and certifications, yes. So NAPTEX, because it's a qualification and awarding body, NAPTEX, technical exams unit. And there's also one of the directorates under the Ministry of Education. In fact, mainly under GES. And then there's, if you take MVTI, they have the assessment department.
Okay.
They would also join. So you have part of MVTI, that is an assessment, coming together with NAPTEX and then technical exams unit to form another wing that will be in charge of qualifications, assessments, examinations, and all of that. So this is the new arrangement that has been set up, and I think it's one of the best arrangements.
So when is it going to roll out? Is it year 2 or you are still doing it?
Yeah, that is what is under the 5-year strategic plan of the TVET.
Okay.
That's, and government has approved of it. It's a 5-year strategic plan to transform the labor, the Ghanaian labor, into more productive and performing group. So under that strategic plan, like you rightly said, all the other scattered TVET institutions will come under the Ministry of Education.
All right.
So, and then when that comes, then the ministry can have absolute control
over all the institutions,
in the country.
When is it starting?
Yeah, so it has started. Let me say it has started.
Great.
Because all the ministries are aware. There've been a lot of consultations going on. In fact, cabinet approval was gotten on end last year, 2017.
Okay.
And we are it's currently working on the legal documents. So there are going to be 3 documents, which is currently at the Attorney General's office. We've had about 4 or 5 consultations already. But you need to get all stakeholders on board so that it's ironed out properly. So that draft is with the Attorney General's department. And that is the TVET service bill. That one is in motion.
Okay.
than the Copyright Amendment Act, because with the mandate that copyright would be having, there would be some changes in the composition of its board.
Okay.
Previously it was 15, now it's going to move up to about 23.
Okay.
The reason being that with the TVET service and other entities coming on board, it would require their representation on the board so that they can adequately inform the board as to what affects each of the sectors that would have a role to play. And because all other ministries are coming to be part of the system, some of them would require their presentation also on the board. So that also requires some amendments. And the fact that NABTEX already had their act, I think that was in 1994.
1994.
Yes.
NABTEX Act.
And then MVTI had their act in 1970. Technical exams unit for them, they operate under GSO. They run under the umbrella of the ministry already. All of them coming together would require a new bill. So that bill is also at the Attorney General's department. Yeah, so it has begun. But once the cabinet approval is gotten and the processes have started, we just need to make sure that everybody is fine. All the bottlenecks are taken care of. And then it goes to Parliament, and then there will be very few hitches, and then hopefully our honorable members would look at it and then add their various touches to it. And hopefully it will be running. Because all the structural work is going on. Yes. As we speak now, there are committees that are being put together. We have committees that are looking at a scheme of service for the TV service. We also have people from MVTI coming in. You have NABTEX coming in, technical exams. They had different conditions of service, all of them coming together. So in that committee, all of them are represented to harmonize
the system.
The system,
okay.
And their remuneration and their rewards, and
Very
so that
important.
everybody is not made worse off.
Exactly.
Because the moment we started this whole exercise, the major concern is anybody going to be made worse off? And the assurance has been that nobody will be made worse off.
All right.
So some people are happy.
Others are not?
No, so far nobody has displayed that he's not happy.
Okay.
Some are happy because if you are in a good place like my friend is, compared to other places, and you're going to enjoy the same scheme of service as he's enjoying, it means that you are going to be made better off.
Okay.
Things are going to be good.
Better for you.
Yeah, so then it's a good arrangement.
All right.
So the scheme of service is one of the committees, and there's a staff
The scheme of
rationalization.
service and condition of service.
Yeah.
Condition of service.
The two are together.
Together.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's move into some hard truth and also misconceptions surrounding technical and vocational education in Ghana. You know, you may be aware that in Ghana, we always tend to believe that those who are not academically bright, those who are not doing well in school, are those who are pushed into the technical and vocational institutions. And that perception is still existing in Ghana. In our quest to promote technical and vocational education, what has NABTEX and CODVET done to ensure that we disabuse the thought, the perceptions and misconceptions of parents and the general populace on this?
Yeah, on the side of NABTEX, until about a few years ago, once you finish vocational or technical institutes, your progression was limited in a way or the other. Now, with the introduction of Certificate 2 examination and the core aspect being run by NABTEX, people that graduate from the vocational and technical schools have been given the opportunity to continue at the polytechnic or the technical universities to do HND.
Okay.
And they do not only end there. Now there's chance for them to continue to do the what you call the BTech.
Okay.
And then to do the MTech, and then to do the DTech.
So the BTech is
the Bachelor of Technology.
MTech is a Master
of Technology, and then Doctor of Technology.
In Ghana?
That is what we are aiming at.
Okay.
Even the MTech has started at some of the technical universities.
Yes, I know Technical University is running some master's programming in
Yes.
some of the
Yes,
the courses
please.
that I
So,
think I
yeah. So with that, it's like you do not only end at maybe Craftsman Certificate 1 or Certificate 2. You can now, if you want, to continue to the ladder till like the way the grammar student, I mean the WASI and SSE, they want to continue to get PhD and that kind of thing. Now, if you start with the vocational and technical education, you can now continue and you also can be called a doctor or whatever.
Professor or whatever.
Professor, whatever.
Okay, so Mr. Bama, how can we?
So
how
let
can
me
we
just
get them?
add a bit to what he just said. Good. So perception. In fact, I would even call it value judgment. Okay. What value you put on what do you want to see a child or a school-going person to become is what actually would inform your stance on whether you need to be well-educated or brilliant to access a TVET program or the general education program. And when you look at what is entailed in technical education, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people do not access it. Yeah. So then the very few who access it, you have people thinking that it is because they couldn't make the money.
So why?
But let me just take you to the end of it. Okay. If you look at the numbers of those who go through the technical system, technical school system, against those who go through general education, if you take 10 of TVET students, about 8 of them would earn a living. If you take 10 of those in general education, if they did not pursue the top programs, all the 10 will not earn a living. And that is what eventually they will end up in groups which they will call the unemployed. Yes. But, so in changing the phase of this perception of value judgment, I prefer to look at it as people's way and how they place their value. In the past, there had been this certification system which allowed each of the institutions to have its own certificates run. In 2012, there was an LI 2195, and in it is the National TVET Qualifications Framework. The National TVET Qualification Framework is to address the multiplicity of certificates in the system. And that is tied to the competency-based training. Competency-based training will help you to show what you can do practically. So, for example, if you want a job in an automobile company, they would just put an engine down, ask you to dismantle and assemble it, start it, and if it works, you get a job. They will not ask you to draw an engine and label the parts when you don't know anything about it. And those are the things that competency-based training is looking at. It is a flexible way of training, so that you could even pick one unit. And the fine thing about it is that you have industry people coming together with the training providers to determine the standard for training. So they generate the occupational standards. That is translated into curriculum and programs. And from the curriculum, you get the units. That is what you get, you see as syllabus and topics in the general. And the good thing is that because it's flexible, you can pick one unit and earn a competence in it. If you take cosmetology and hairdressing, for instance, you can decide to only pick 3 weeks, go and do only twisting. And you get a certificate
for that.
And you can get a job because you only twist. Or you plait. The ladies will tell you. You go to some of the salons and they only plait. There are people who only plait and they make a living. So TVET allows people to earn a source of living if they apply themselves to it. But if you don't apply yourself to it, then you sit back, and because you don't know, then you think that, well, I mean, those in construction, the first day you go to work, you earn money. Your first day, you know why? You pick the trowel, you lay one line of block, you get your daily money. You are paid. Go and sit in a political science class for a whole year until you finish. How are you going to make a living?
So, are you saying that? Are you saying that when we are looking at the unemployment rate in Ghana, you may not find people who have gone through activate institutions as a constituent?
Yes. So then, if you went to a TVET institution and you are not employed, then it is your own problem.
Is it a student's problem?
Then, yes, because if all the programs that you might pick, if you pick welding and fabrication, it's easy. Today you go to the rigs, everybody is asking for welders. And you see, the difficulty is that, yes, you might state that the type of welding that is taught in the schools is not the same or does not meet the standard required. It's because that standard was not set by industry.
Okay.
Now that standard has been set. So then the institutions, the facilitators and instructors are being upskilled to learn that competency so they can train people. So over time, all of them will get jobs. Tiling, very easy skill to acquire. It's part of the construction value chain.
Okay.
People do construction and they don't look at the value chain. They think it's only brick, mortar, and then construction will start from the architectural work. Somebody wants a design, you do something. Interior decoration is part. So you take the value chain, there's a whole lot of things you can do. So for anybody who would attend a TVET institution and indicate that he hasn't got a job, then of course that person has not applied himself
into the system
adequately to get something to do. Because TVET is the way to go.
Yeah. All right. So our viewers, if you are watching us, this is AAU Talks and we are live on AAU TV. And this morning we have in the studio two guests from NAPTEX and CODVET under the Ministry of Education in Ghana. And we are discussing how we can together transform technical and vocational education on the continent. We've been looking at some misconceptions and issues concerning TVET education in Ghana. And briefly, we want to go into another segment where we are looking at the way forward for TVET institutions in Ghana and Africa at large. Mr. Boama, let me come to you.
Yeah.
How can we make TVET education attractive to the younger generation? For example, can someone right from the primary school through to JHS make a decision that I want to go into this technical institution because I want to do plumbing, I want to do design and art making, can we package our institutions very well to our younger generation?
Thank you very much. I think I was going to add something about this poor perception about TVET institutions.
Yes.
And I'll carry out from there. That perception is generally true, and it needs to be welcomed. We need to do a lot of engagement,
okay,
especially right from the lower level primary schools, for the people to have reorientation of mind.
Okay.
I mean, generally, if you ask anybody, it's like, I want to go to grammar school, I want to go to University of Ghana, and that kind of thing. But if you are able to educate them on the special role that TVET play in the industrialization and the development of a nation, and then the people will appreciate that more, especially in this area that you are going at of scarcity of employment and that kind of thing. If you want to go to the university and at the end you don't get any job to do, but you want to do some competency-based training, and immediately after that you get a job to do, which one do you prefer? So we need to do a lot of education, a lot of engagement to change that perception and to educate our youth to see the need and the relevance of TVET education. Now, what do you do? There are a lot of ways that are going on this term to reposition the TVET.
Okay.
I know there is one being done by Western Regional Coastal Foundation. They are looking at especially what is happening at the coastal belts in terms of oil and gas, and how they can help the youth to be acquire the employable skills to be fit into that industry.
Okay.
And that's the beginning. They say they will also extend that kind of thing. So those kind of engagement is the way to help our youth to reposition themselves for this kind of opportunity that is availing for them. So in addition to that, even the government has agreed that whatever sponsorship is given to the grammar secondary school,
okay,
is also awarding the same thing to those in the technical and vocational schools.
Okay.
If these things are done, if I go to secondary school and I'll get free education, I go to technical, I get free education, then why I can go to my technical school? Initially when it started, it was like for only the senior high school alone.
Okay.
But now government has made it clear that the free education is for both the SS and the technical vocational education. So those you can do to whip up the interest of the youth in getting into the TVET institutions.
Okay.
So just to
add up
follow up, with the free SHS, the silent letter that was missing was the T. And you know why? The 47 technical institutions under the Ministry of Education, they benefited from the free SHS.
Okay.
Because most of their institutions are listed on the computer placement systems. And that informed the placement in the various institutions.
Okay.
So a school like Volta Technical Institute, which previously had very low numbers, I'm not sure you've heard of it, because the 47th
okay,
of
the last
of the GES
okay,
institutions. Suddenly the classrooms got filled up. It is not that people did not like it, but you know, TVET is expensive.
Yes, it is.
It's expensive. And if you ask, education and everything is good, but if you want to find out who should access TVET, it's the most brilliant students.
Exactly my thought.
You know, when they started with these secondary technicals institutions, GSTS and other things, Ghana Technicals, Ghana Secondary Technical.
Yes.
The best students in science, they were put in the technical class, and the others were put into general education. The reason is that for every action that is carried out or a GA lever that turns, there should be an underpinning explanation.
Yes.
And you need to understand it so that when you are applying it, a force to it or lubricating it to a point, you know what to do the volume, and if you over-add, what will happen. So from the beginning, it had always been a place for the most brilliant. Somehow, you got people who did not actually appreciate, not because they did not like it, they didn't know. So they put a lot of weight on the general side, and eventually, where you had the technical and secondary schools, because the general education, you don't need a lot of consumables.
Sure.
So then it's just your markers or your chalk and your board. But if you want to do proper technical education and you walk into any session, you need the consumables, the things you need to work. So if you pay your fees and there's nothing to allow the institution to make provision for those consumables, then it's like, okay, we'll just show you the parts and then you don't get to, work your hands at it. So then gradually everybody started moving into the general education and the numbers went low and the investment went down. So if you look at the GES, Ministry of Education budget for technical education, the average is over at around 3.7. For some time now, it goes to 2.8, it comes to 3.7. But the good thing is that with this new focus, it's changing. Because with these institutions that government has brought under, all of them, the students are going to go in, they are going to get their fees paid for them.
Okay.
Consumables will be provided. The workshops are being retooled.
Okay.
There are about 20 state-of-the-art TVET institutions that are built across. And the other thing is that there is this campaign that will be launched very soon. We call it the My TVET campaign. And in the My TVET campaign, it's a place for everybody. So it is such that you could even finish your course in political science, hoping to be a politician one day, which you might never be.
Sure.
So then you find the My TVET very attractive, and you get a place in there. The main idea is there are a lot of successful people who have made it use it through skills. And these are people who are ready to channel some paths, show some of the success stories that are available. So the campaign, there's guidance and counseling components of it. Okay. Documentaries will be shown, direct engagements, platforms will be put together for people to display, incubation centers will be available for people to go in to show what they can do. And it all fits into the things that government is doing to actually change the value judgment, what you call perception.
Because listening to you, I can see that there is so much hope for TVET institutions in Ghana. Yes. But currently, when you visit some of the schools, the story is a sad one. For instance, I have visited some of the TVET institutions in Ghana, and amazingly, when you go there, this is a woodwork shop, and the students are studying theory. They don't have the equipment, they don't have the necessary tools that they are supposed to work with. So they go out of school, and then they are still like those of us who went through the traditional mode of education. And so I am so happy that there's some kind of hope, but I'm looking forward to seeing it happening soon, so that at least we will be able to chart the way for our transformation agenda and then also the industrialization agenda.
Yeah, so let me just add a bit to this one.
Yes.
You went to the schools and you saw some of the things. Some of them, it comes to the leadership in the institutions.
Okay.
I visited a school where, yes, in the syllabus, they were using the traditional system. So, dressmaking, and they were trying to do these table covers. They were using the needles to do the needlework. And the main idea is that needlework is in the book.
Okay.
So I asked them, how many sets can you produce in a day? There were about 8. They could produce just 1 for the center table and everything. And I asked them the cost of material. So after doing all putting the production cost and taking out everything, the profit spread per capita, everybody gets less than 2 cedis. Meanwhile, the technology now is using the same needlework. If you teach them how to use the embroidery machines, There are some that are so easy to use with the hands. So what all of them could have done the whole day, if you apply a bit of technology and use what is nice, easy to handle, applying the right technology, it takes between 20 to 30 minutes and you finish a whole set. And it costs more.
Mm-hmm.
In one institution, the leaders were ready to go for the machine and add it to what they is in the book.
Okay.
Because the book at the time it was written did not know that a machine like that would come.
That's true.
That's the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So they are sticking to what is in the book when the times have changed. So it's about getting also the orientation for the leaders, the right managers in the institutions, so that when the times are changing, they apply the technology to those trade areas, the sectors, and then make the most out of it. So and when that is done and you are earning money, you not tell me that TVET is not attractive.
Sure.
You get a machine, you do it, if you're able to do 10 in a day and you go to the market, it's made.
You get your money.
Yeah. Who would tell you TVET? But if you go and 8 people, you do one set of needlework and you sell it and everybody will get 2 cedis. It is the leader.
Okay.
TVET is very attractive.
Yes,
if applied appropriately.
Good. Mr. Bomo, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
But let's finish with your last submission. We are talking about leadership in our institutions, and CODVET is the institution that is responsible to ensure that issues concerning quality assurance, issues concerning the school management, everything is done appropriately. In your own basic assessment, do you think that we have the right leaders, right teachers, in terms of skill and knowledge, who are teaching our kids in the vocational institutions?
Yeah, so this would be a yes and no, because in some of the places, the facilitators are really good. They know what they are up to and what they should do. In some places, they need a lot of upskilling and retraining. Because some of them, they'll tell you that they are not very familiar with the practical. So you would see that indeed, in fact, I went to one institution where the head of the auto department had never seen a diagnostic machine. And
That's
then
I
asked, in this time that every vehicle is using some form of electronic something. So basically, to assess the basic problem, you need to plug in the diagnostic machine, and it comes up, you read, you diagnose
to know what exactly is.
And then you print it out. My friend said drive a nice Benz. You cannot give it to anybody to. You need to plug in the diagnostic. And you see, if you don't have a good manager, a good leader, he will know that indeed this is a trend, but he will not provide it for the department. But a good leader, or let me say a pragmatic instructor, would even go for it. In fact, because I came across some of them, they bring in some of the current things and they use it to teach. And then after, they take it home. And sometimes they get jobs, they bring it, they do it with the students. The main person will take his share. But the students are happy because they support.
Yes.
And they're always looking up for
such opportunities.
Yes, because we want most of the workshops to be driven by these production units where, yes, it's a workshop, but you are not only training, because you train and you link it to the world of work. So every skill should be linked to the world of work and industry place. So then after producing something, what is the next thing? You link it to the market. So that you produce, you sell, you save. So it's a whole chain that you need to develop the culture for the students to see. If I develop this, I have acquired this skill, I can develop this, where do I take it to? What is the local economy in that district?
Okay.
All of those things are very important.
Okay, so Mr. Boma, let me come to you. You are responsible for technicians and then professional examinations. And so in our schools, I have also been to a TVET institution where there is someone who is responsible for BC. Is it BT or BC? Building construction. And the person is just has not been to school to learn. In that institution, he is just a mason in that town, and he is supporting the student. What can NAPTEX do to make sure that these facilitators who have the knowledge who have, yes, they have the knowledge, but they don't really have the certification and everything. How can we upgrade them? Because some of them really have the skills. So how do you come in to make sure that you support such people?
Yeah, that is very good. And I have also taught in one of the best technical institutions in Ghana when I was a young person.
Okay.
And you see, there are a lot of change has come. In fact, the right time when I went there, I nearly wept. But get straight to your question, then I'll come back to what I'm saying. You see, now you want to have what you call the recognition of prior learning.
Okay.
It's like you know a lot of things, but maybe you have not got a certificate or that kind of thing. You want to enter into a TVS system. You want to give recognition to what you know already. And so that will help to cater for such people. In fact, at the time I was at one of the best technical institutes, what we were doing was that those at Swami Magazine, the World Bank sponsored them in such a way that in the evening, they will come to KTI, they will give them some, because they already know what they are doing, but we give them the scientific background, the basis of what they are doing. Yes. And they are rather even supporting us. So that, the first thing is to the introduction of this recognition of prior learning, which we hope it will help in our certification processes. So that even if you can do a lot of things, but you haven't gone through the technical, vocational, polytechnic, that kind of thing, you will still recognize that this guy is very competent in this kind of area, and he can be awarded a certificate to function in that area. That is one thing that we can do with such people.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing which we are going to do, mainly according to our strategic plan, is that it's not only the institution that is going to provide training. We are looking at the systems like the German system, where the industry and the institutions are working together, the dual system, so that Swami Magazine will be doing their own thing, and then maybe KTI will also be doing it together. So it's not like you have gone to school, you have finished. Maybe you come to school for 1 year, you go to the garage
for 3 months,
for more than 3 months, to do it, and then maybe you come and then that kind of thing. So you are also that dual system where the industry and the institutions are combining, are teaming up to training our youth. Is another way of solving this issue that we have raised.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, do you have anything to add?
Yes, let me just say that, just following up on there, already with the competency-based training, there's a component of it that we call the workplace experience learning policy. What a lot of people will call internships. So those in general education interns would go, maybe you are studying engineering or biochemistry, you go to an institution and they put you at the reception. It has no link with what you are doing.
It's true.
But if you are...
Right from the national service, even postings as well.
Yes. And normally, you see, I use internship because internships are supposed to enhance your qualification.
The skill and
yes. With the competency-based training, where you have workplace experience learning, the score you get in the workplace adds to your final score, or whether you achieve, or competency-based you achieve or you don't achieve. So then what happens is that you go to the workplace where you are going to do your workplace learning, what others will call internship, with a list of outcomes to be achieved. So there's a liaison in the school who would ensure that there's a supervisor in the workplace you are going to, say, Accra Brewery. There's a supervisor there who will give him the learning outcomes for which the student should achieve. He checks the system, puts you where that will be realized. So you work and actually add to the theory that you have studied, or maybe the little exposure you've got in your school. And then you get that exposure and you are scored and it's added on. So just as in some places, the dual system that you mentioned, you have the institutions and then the workplaces working together. Even in the competency-based training component, which we have started in some, is not moving as fast as it's expected, because all the workshops will have to be appropriately retooled.
Yes.
Because you need a well set up workshop to actually drive everything. So even if it's automotive, you need the prototype engines to be running. You might need simulators to show what indeed, if you press this push button, this is what happens. You know, all of those things. If you go to places like Kenya, they have in fact, it will come to Ghana very soon, the smart classrooms.
Yes.
It's a concept that we have piloted. I'm sure you were at the workshop that we did not too long ago. So all of those things are coming in. And you see, just even with the informal sector, we've done a lot of the formal sector. Government currently has a program we call the Ghana TV for Acha project. So we support the program, support the various masters and the apprentices. After you have done the normal practical work and workshop stuff, you are linked to one of the formal institutions to engage and get some theory. So it is from the formal sector, you are in the institution, you go to the workplace. But in the informal sector, where already is a workplace, because that is where you produce and sell, on, there's a link for you to go to the formal system. And then because it's difficult to pay, the voucher system pays for the training.
Okay.
So it's a way of pushing more of our youth in the informal sector, masters, apprentices, to upgrade their skills, get the accuracy and numeracy aspects. Because everything you buy, if you want to use a diagnostic machine, you should be able to read. You should be able to enter the chassis number, the make of the car, the origin, and then before you look for the problem, and then it pops out and you print. So if you cannot read where print is, then you cannot print the report from a machine you have.
It's true.
Yeah, so we need to add that component of it, and that is what we are doing. So there are a lot of things that are going on.
I think there are a lot of things happening that people are not aware of. And listening to you, it is in the pipeline. We are yet to roll them out. And I think we need to follow up on this discussion, especially with Convert and the NAPTEX, to really know what you are doing, and then how we can support as the populace. But let me...
That's a very good point. And I think that you need a lot of stakeholders involvement and engagement.
Exactly.
For example, all these things that is in the 5-year strategic plan, I mean, the key stakeholders must be aware. And I'm glad that the ministry is now putting up or sharpening up the communication wings of all the agencies under the ministry.
That's excellent.
About 2 weeks ago, there was a workshop how to develop a strategy. And surprisingly enough, I think the week after, Presbyterian Training College was complaining that their institution is being upgraded to tertiary, but they were not informed. So the reforming of the communication units under the ministry is very timely to be able to communicate some of these ideas to the populace.
Okay.
Because you might have a very nice things in
if
the
you don't sell
book,
it, people don't know.
If you don't sell it, people will not know. And people will not even appreciate it. I mean, it's true. I have taught in technical school before. People don't even appreciate it, even up to now.
Yeah.
So we need to do a lot more education and engagement.
Yeah, I think when you're able to educate people and then share these visions with people, I'm sure the industry players will automatically come to you and partner with you. The banking sector, the manufacturing industries, and the rest will definitely come to you. I think they are there. They don't know what is happening, and that is why they are also not supporting.
You are trying to engage them. You are trying to engage
them.
Yes, you are trying to engage them. Because like you said, this kind of the new system or the transformation system, you need a lot of capital inflow.
Yes.
And you need the support of not only the development partners, but even the industries. I mean, so that if the industries know what you are training them for, and then they think that it will benefit them, they will be willing to support, I mean, technically and financially. And that is where we are aiming at.
Yeah, so let me just add quickly.
Good.
Like, in fact, we've gone beyond trying to engage them.
Okay.
Because as part of the things that we are currently doing, is the setting up of sector bodies. Eventually, they will become sector councils. It is the sector bodies that drives what quality what skill sets are required for the industry to thrive on. So they are practitioners in those sectors, so they relate it to the industry. And in fact, just this month, we've had 3 engagements with the private sector. We've engaged the CEOs.
Excellent.
We've engaged the companies themselves.
Okay.
And then we had a recent validation, which has been the talk for the past week. It's still, in fact, if you listen to some of the stations, you would have heard me.
I think I watched one of the sessions as well.
Yes, and what they are doing is, basically there are 22 sectors that Ghana is trying to look at and
streamline. Okay.
Yes, we've phased it out, and we are looking at 7 sectors to start with, and all the 7 sectors are in line with government's strategy. So as we set up the sector councils, it is not in the pipeline. This one, it is in action. Because we have stopped this pipeline thing, is from theory to action. So the GTV thing I mentioned, it is happening. People are assessing the virtues and it's going on. This sector councils thing that we are doing, we are running alongside, we are doing the skills gap analysis and audit, where we are engaging the various industries, the companies, identify what jobs are there and where they need people, which they cannot find the institutions producing. Okay. So some of the areas, something like this CCTV imagery and all of that, you don't get that training in any of the institutions. Thailand is really done. These are places where we need to identify that, look, these are the gaps, these are the skill sets required. So then the sector councils generate the required skill for that skill set, and then it's transferred into the training providers. They use it to generate the curriculum and train the people. So then it is the link.
That kind of, exactly.
Yes,
the collaboration
so
is
for
there.
the collaboration is going. If I had known that this question would come up, I would have shown you the list of companies. Yes, that we have been engaging, and they keep on coming in. And an institution like Accra Brewery, they engage some of those students who were part of the workplace experience learning.
Okay.
You meet some of the top supervisors and they ask, where do we find these people to come in? We piloted it, and before the students completed that pilot, everybody was employed. Everybody, because where they did the workplace experience learning, the companies
would absorb them.
They absorb it. They saw the quality. You understand? We piloted it, and that is how come we need to retool all the workshops, run the competency-based training, full scale, and then you see what TVET can change in our system these days.
All right, thank you very much. I think I would take your final words, and then in your final word, we are still looking at how can our TVET institutions contribute to the industrialization agenda of our country.
Yeah. You see, we are talking of industrialization. I mean, development of industries on the large scale or mass scale in a country or a given area. When you want to embark on such things, you need people with the needed competencies, the needed skills to be able to feed these industries. And that is where TVET is very critical, to produce the skills and the competencies that are required in these industries. And like you said, the syllabus for the CBT is not only supply driven. As you see somewhere and then you write something, this is what you have to learn. It's a demand driven. And that is what the industries need. That should inform the institutions to develop the curriculum so that immediately they fit into the system. And you believe that with that kind of introducing the CBT into our system to be able to produce the competencies and the skills that are needed in the world of work, whatever industry that you set up, whether in the agro-based industry, whether in the manufacturing industry, all the industry set up, you'll be able to get the needed competencies or skills to work in those industries. That's where the TVET play a critical role in that area.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, is TVET for everybody?
TVET is for everybody. TVET is the way to go. TVET is the best vehicle to move Ghana faster to its goal of moving Ghana beyond it. So all I'll say is that a lot of effort is being put in to drive TVET and skills development, and all stakeholders would have to put their shoulders to the wheel. It is an enormous tax, and it is something that it is not easy for one person to do. If we all want jobs for our youth, we want to see Ghana progress, move Ghana forward beyond where we are now in terms of our economic standing in Africa and in the world. We need to, through TVET, generate more skills, and then through that, I believe that we'll have a wonderful place to be.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen, for this insightful discussion. And we know that we'll definitely come back to you, because I can see that you have a lot of good plans you are yet to roll out to transform technical and vocational education in Ghana. And we also look at how you can also replicate some of these things in other African countries. And Ghana may be the best place for others to also learn from us. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. And definitely we'll come back to you for further discussions. All right, so viewers, I have been discussing issues concerning technical, vocational, and education training in Africa. Specifically, we are looking at how we can transform our economy, how we can industrialize Ghana using our technical and vocational institutions. Until you see us in the next session, this has been AAU Talks. Thank you for watching.
The Association of African Universities, AAU, Africa's apex higher education organization, invites stakeholders to its 15th quadrennial General Conference from 5th to the 8th of July 2021. The theme is the future of African higher education. The conference will be held virtually and hosted by the Government of Ghana under 6 sub-themes as follows. Sub-theme 1, the future of African higher education post-COVID-19. Sub-theme 2, contributions of African higher education institutions to addressing the challenges linked to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sub-theme 3, contributions of African higher education institutions in achieving sustainable development goals. Sub-theme 4, funding of African higher education institutions in the face of unpredictable economy. Sub-theme 5, mainstreaming e-learning and the digital divide. Sub-theme 6, contributions of the diaspora to African higher education. Expected participants include ministries of higher education, academics, researchers and research organizations, regional economic communities, regional educational bodies like IUCEA, CAMES, and Saruwa, the organized private sector, and
You are live on AAU TV, and welcome to AAU Talks this morning. And this morning we have in the studio 2 wonderful guests, and we are going to discuss issues concerning technical and vocational education in Africa. Specifically, how can we industrialize Africa, and how can we make sure that our TVET institutions are better placed in positions to take over in the industrialization agenda of Africa. My name is Kosi Sam, and I am the host for this section.
Are you an institution or individual? Do you intend to organize a memorable event to be archived for future reference? Then look no further than AAU Studios because it's your best bet with our spacious studio and state-of-the-art media equipment such as 4K Panasonic video cameras, KinoFlow lights, assorted microphones, live streaming equipment, among others. You are sure to get the best of productions. Visit us at Trinity Avenue, East Legon, adjacent the National Accreditation Board, or contact the AAU Studios via the following email addresses: info@aau.org, aautv@aau.org, or ransford@aau.org. Alternatively, you can call us on +233 244 736280.
In the studio this morning, I have two gentlemen, Mr. Samuel Thompson, and Mr. Samuel Thompson is the coordinator for planning, research, monitoring, and evaluation at CODVET under the Ministry of Education, Ghana. We also have Mr. Isaac Boama, who is the head of administration at NAPTEX here in Ghana, and NAPTEX is also under the Ministry of Education. We are live on Facebook, and you can join us by just going onto the AAU Facebook page, that is Association of African Universities. You can also join us on our Twitter feed, that is AAU_67, and we welcome all of you to join the discussion. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you are all doing well. Great. And so, Africa, we have been looking at issues and ways of industrializing our economies. And we always fall on the educational system to produce people who are skilled, people who have the knowledge to make sure that our industrialization agenda is set. And you cannot do it without taking into consideration technical, vocational education and training in Africa. It looks like a lot of us don't know what TVET is all about. We all have some kind of misconceptions about TVET. Let me start with you, Mr. Thompson. Could you just brief us what is TVET, what TVET entails, and what is the agenda of TVET on the continent?
Thank you very much.
All right.
And let me say a good day to our listeners.
Great.
TVET is basically the driver of industry, the world of work,
okay,
and life generally. It is only through TVET that you get the knowledge and skills required for all the activities that you would want to engage in. So before I'd want to even mention what people would consider to be the explanation or what TVET stands for. In several jurisdictions, people have had different terminologies for TVET. By its function, people would want to call it occupational education.
Okay.
Some would call it professional education. Some would call it vocational education and training. What we call TVET, technical and vocational education and training, in other places it's vocational and technical education and training.
Yes.
So that should tell all of us that it is an embodiment of the knowledge, skills, and the practical orientation that is required for production, enhanced productivity, driving the very essence of life. So even if you look around here, you see TVET at play.
Okay.
You see the cameras. It is only the skill of the cameraman that will make him capture the pictures accurately, and that is transferred. That action of getting it accurately transferred is a skill. So normally when we talk of TVET, we would not leave it at just the acquisition of practical knowledge, the orientation of knowledge, skills, and quality of action.
Okay.
That will actually will be transferred to the world of work. But we'll look at how TVET will end up in producing the appropriate skills, which of course I like so much this topic you brought on board, because it is the skills that would feed industry. So then basically every jurisdiction that would invest in TVET is, in other words, investing in industry. But you will never realize it until it is matched appropriately and then the right skills are developed from the systems you put in place to set up your TVET sector.
Okay.
So basically, TVET is what drives the economy, what drives life, what drives industry, the skills you need for your everyday life.
Okay.
And that is TVET.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Bowman, let's really come from this angle, where in Ghana, for instance, we call all our TVET institutions vocational schools, we call it technical schools. If we are looking at TVET institutions, which institutions are we looking at?
Thank you very much. And good morning to our cherished viewers. While we are talking of TVET institutions in Ghana, we have about 288 of such institutions.
Here in Ghana?
Here in Ghana.
Okay.
Unfortunately, is that the private ownership is about 180. The government or government-related one is about 100. So it means that the private sector is mainly championing the TVET in a way or the other. It has now come to the realization that the government have to reposition TVET institutions so that there will be a joint partnership between government and the private so that we can achieve what we intend to achieve. And that is getting the needed competencies and skills and attitudes to drive our industries.
Okay, so when you're looking at the TVET institutions, we are looking at the secondary schools, what we know traditionally as technical and vocational.
Yeah.
And then what else? Are there other institutions that are classified under TVET?
Yes, so let me just take off from where my colleagues just...
Okay.
The 288 are basically for the public sector.
Okay.
Yes, so then that has come into being because of government's orientation of pulling all the TVET institutions under the Ministry of Education. Prior to this arrangement, we had about 19 ministries all engaged in some form of TVET.
Okay.
So then if you take the Ministry for Employment and Labor, they have MVTI. And in Ghana, almost every technical school is referred to as an MVTI institution.
Okay.
That is not the case. That is erroneous.
All right.
MVTI institutions under the Ministry of Employment and Labor, there are 34. And the Employment and Labor, they have OIC.
Okay.
Then they have ICES. ICES is Integrated Community Centers for Employable Skills. So under Employment and Labor alone, they have 98 TVET institutions. And then you come to the Ministry of Education, the GES, the TVET section under GES. They have 47 TVET institutions. Then you...
Hey, so this is Dishant from Unica University Common Application. I recommend you to watch AAU television.
AAU TV is the place to be for every person in higher education in Africa. Better be there or be nowhere.
Continuez de regarder la télé et surtout sur le AAU.
Keep watching it and it will change the way you interact with higher education on the continent. AAU, great job.
I want to tell you that AAU television is fantastic. It's educative, it's informative, and it is a must for anybody who is interested in higher education in Africa.
When I was in Accra last year, I did an interview on this TV. It's a very important mouthpiece.
It's a data, it's a bank of all we need for the development of higher education in Africa.
People should make an effort to view it because it discusses very current issues of development across the continent.
I believe that the station will continue to promote the overall development of Africa, particularly in the tertiary education sector.
AAU TV provides a platform and shares a lot of information to a broader audience. So we wish you all the best and please continue serving.
AAU TV,
the voice of higher education in Africa.
The Association of African Universities, AAU, is an international non-governmental organization set up by universities in Africa to promote cooperation among themselves and the international academic community.
Mon nom est professeur Étienne Ehouan-Ehilé. Je suis le secrétaire général de l'Association des universités africaines qui est basée à Accra, au Ghana. Je vais vous parler de la création de l'Association des universités africaines. Il faut remonter dans les années 60 pour pouvoir comprendre le processus. Déjà en 1960, nos dirigeants estimaient que l'éducation est l'outil majeur pour pouvoir lutter contre la pauvreté et assurer le développement.
I am Nodumo Dlamini, the Director of ICT Services and Knowledge Management at the Association of African Universities. The Association of African Universities is a network of 400 universities in Africa. The biggest value that the universities benefit from being members of the association is this big platform that allows them to collaborate, allows them to work together, allows them to teach together. Through this platform, a university in North Africa can work with a university in Southern Africa, and also those in East Africa can work with those in West Africa.
Founded November 1967 at a conference in Rabat, Morocco, by heads of African higher education institutions, the association is currently headquartered in Accra, Ghana.
My name is Maxwell Amohoit. I'm the Director of Finance of the Association of African Universities. The association sustains itself from contributions from member universities and also from other development partners. Some of our development partners include the World Bank, other governmental agencies like the Swedish International Development Agency, UK Department for International Development, and other partners. We also receive a lot of support from other governments, especially the government of Ghana. Other partners include the African Union, which is more or less the parent organization of the Association of African Universities. The Association of African Universities hosts the Secretariat for the African Union's Continental Education Strategy. And by so doing, we provide coordinating roles for the African Union in helping members achieve their targets.
Déjà en 1960, nos dirigeants estimaient que l'éducation est l'outil majeur pour pouvoir lutter contre la pauvreté et assurer le développement. Et rappelons-nous que les années 60, la décade 60, a été une décade où la plupart des pays africains ont obtenu leur indépendance ou ont, disons, pris les dispositions pour être indépendants. C'était donc aussi l'année de développement, dans la mesure où tous ces pays indépendants devaient se retrouver de temps en temps pour parler de comment mettre ensemble leurs problèmes et trouver une solution commune à leurs problèmes. Et dans ce contexte-là, l'éducation était une priorité pour eux, surtout l'éducation universitaire. Et sur ce plan-là, les universités aussi se sont organisées grâce à l'UNESCO qui a parrainé plusieurs réunions depuis Madagascar jusqu'au Maroc.
My name is Jonathan Umba. I'm the Director of Research and Academic Planning. The programs and projects that we run at AAU are consistent with our strategic plan, and they are implemented for our higher education stakeholders, namely the higher education institutions in Africa. These programs are implemented in such a way that our stakeholders will get the benefit of membership of our association. And our programs also are aligned with a number of global and international agendas on higher education, including the Continental Education Strategy for Africa and the Agenda 2063. So these programs are aligned with a number of international agendas with a view to promoting higher education in Africa.
The AAU is the apex organization and principal forum for consultation, exchange of information, and cooperation among universities in Africa.
I am Professor Nkusa Mahao, Vice Chancellor of the National University of Lesotho in the Kingdom of Lesotho in Southern Africa. There are roughly 77 universities that are affiliated with the AAU in the region. But as you might be aware, there are a lot more universities that are as yet to take the membership of the Association of African Universities. Well, universities that are not members of the AAU are missing quite a lot. First of all, let's appreciate this one point, that the AAU is a main driver from the angle of training and capacitating the human resources of the continent, the agenda of the African Union 2063. So if an institution is not on board, it is missing the opportunity to leverage on the opportunities that are provided by the association in the area of training, human resource capital, training their own staff and students, the opportunities that are provided by the universalization of quality management on higher education on the continent, and many other opportunities that are provided.
Et en 1963, il y a eu une réunion à Khartoum, au Soudan, où les chefs des institutions d'enseignement supérieur ont décidé de créer l'Association des universités africaines. Finalement, la création va se faire à une conférence qui s'est tenue à Rabat au Maroc, et la création de l'Association des universités africaines a eu lieu le 12 novembre 1967.
I'm Prof. Hassan Kafi, AAU Governing Board member, representing for East African region. Also, I am the president of Plasma University, Mogadishu, Somalia. We really like to give a call for universities in Africa, especially in East Africa, those which are not members still in the Association of African Universities. We are calling them because we feel the organization is ours. It represents the voice of higher education in Africa being seen all over the world.
So hello viewers and welcome to AgroLink, and AgroLink is brought to you by the Association of African Universities, and today we are on the premises of RMG Ghana Limited, and we are going in there to talk to some few managers there on how to promote agricultural production in Africa. Make sure that you follow us and then log on to our Facebook page, Association of African Universities, and then AU_67 on Twitter. Join me in as we have chit-chat with the managers in RMG on how to promote agriculture in Africa. Stay tuned. Africa, and welcome to another exciting episode of AgroLink. And AgroLink is brought to you by the Association of African Universities headquarters here in Accra, Ghana. AgroLink seeks to profile agricultural institutions and also make sure that we are able to promote agricultural innovation in Africa. And today we are so much privileged to be hosted by RMG Ghana, and RMG is the regional marketing group, and we are privileged also to be speaking to the marketing manager in the person of Mr. Nyako Dela, and he's going to tell us more about RMG Ghana and what they do to support or promote agriculture in Africa. Good day, Mr. Dela.
Thank you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
Good.
And how are you?
I'm also doing very well.
Great, yeah.
We are so much happy and privileged to be in your office to talk about or to discuss with you important issues concerning agricultural production in Africa. But because you are a marketing institution, we'll be looking at how your institution is well placed to make sure you provide that service to the promotion of agriculture on the continent. But before we do that, definitely you may tell us something brief about RMG Ghana.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, you are at the right place, and I think we are one of the best agriculture company in Ghana.
Okay.
So you cannot go without us for such a program, and we are privileged to have you here. So briefly, I'll say RMG Ghana Limited is an agriculture input company in the country, one of the best. We deal in importation and distribution of agricultural inputs. We have a wide range of our inputs that we deal with.
Okay.
Someone will talk of what are the inputs you are dealing in. We'll say we have one of the best fertilizers in the country. We also have a whole range of pesticides for agricultural production. We also deal in equipment. We talk of spraying machines. We are the best.
Okay.
Again, we have our irrigation department, because you know about the climatic conditions and all global warming, which is affecting agricultural production. So we have a department that handles irrigation, and we have a system that can irrigate 60 hectares of farmland.
Okay.
And that system is called the pivot irrigation system.
Okay.
We also have the drip irrigation system that also we have in our portfolio of inputs.
Okay.
And we talk of seed. Seed is the key, the heart of agriculture, because without seed, I mean, what are you doing? You need to plant the seed for it to germinate, for you to get your yield.
Sure.
So if you come to seed, you cannot go by not mentioning RMG Ghana Limited.
Okay.
We have our hybrid maize seed, and we have hybrid rice seed, and we also have a vegetable seed.
Okay, so do you focus only on cash crops or other seeds as well?
No, we focus on a range of crops.
Okay.
We have input for cocoa.
Okay.
We also have input for maize. We have input for rice. Input for vegetables.
Okay.
So let's say we have all the range.
Ranges.
Yeah, we don't focus on only cash crops, but
okay,
all crops.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you made mention of the fact that you import and export agricultural products, right?
We import and distribute.
You distribute. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you import them from? Which countries do you have partnerships with?
We partner leading companies in the world. You talk of Syngenta. You talk of Bayer. Bayer is in Germany. You talk of Goispa. They are into manufacturing of spraying machines. They are based in Spain. You talk of Pana. We talk of Pana and Panian seeds.
Okay.
They are based in South Africa. We talk of our fertilizer, which comes from Nigeria, Russia, Morocco. We talk of another spraying machine called Shogun, which is also coming from Spain. So in all, we cut across the globe.
Okay.
We deal with leading manufacturer of inputs from across the globe.
Okay, so are you a government-based institution or a private?
No, we are a private entity.
Okay, yeah. But you have the backing of the government to distribute all that?
Definitely, because to become an agriculture company in the country, you need to register. Before they need to register as a company, as the company in the country. You need to go through the normal process of registration. You need also to register all your products with the appropriate institutions, EPA. You need to also register your products also with PPRSD. So we have the backing of the states.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you mobilize the farmers in terms of your distribution channel?
I must say our business are into, let's say, threefold. We have the government business, and we also have the private business, and we also have the associations. When it comes to government business, we also are part of the fertilizer subsidy program and the seed subsidy program, where we also supply our inputs to the states for also onward distribution to the farmers. So we are part of the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
Okay, for the government of Ghana?
For the government of Ghana.
Okay.
When it comes to our own distribution network, we deal with distributors across the country, where we distribute our products through them. We have also exclusive shops named RMG Ghana Limited in partnership with some distributors. They only sell our products. We again also have our van system, who moves to certain specific areas that the farmers cannot have access to products. So we develop the market there, then we find and plant a distributor there, then we move to the next area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you receive support from the government in terms of finance to make sure that the products that you import into the country are subsidized for the farmers?
Yeah, so that's why we are part of the subsidy program. So for the subsidy program, there's a support in terms of, we are not the only company involved in the subsidy. There are a lot of companies also involved in subsidy.
Okay.
So there's always government support in that area. Yeah.
Okay. So what makes IMG different from the other players in the same sector?
We are very innovative because we strategically partner farmer associations that will give them inputs. So we grow with the associations. So we have been working with Masara in the north, Copa Boropa in the cocoa sector. We also work with Copa Connect in the Volta region for rice. So they are all farmer associations that will give inputs on credit. So then they will return the produce. And that produce, we have Winco as the off-taker to sell that produce on the market.
Okay, so what informs your mode of operation? Why do you import seeds? Why do you import fertilizers? Why do you import the key things, the irrigation materials? Why do you bring them into the country, even in the first place?
Yeah, because we don't have the capacity to produce some of the inputs. And all companies are dealing with the manufacturers. So just like automobile. I mean, everybody is bringing Benz, Toyota
to the country.
So definitely we need to also import because we don't have the capacity to produce.
So in terms of seeds, we don't have the capacity to come up with...
Yes, we have capacity to produce, and we have our seed production unit that is working on that one. Because our thinking and our going forward, we need to be able to produce our own hybrid seeds. And we are working towards that very well. And recently we were able to even release a locally produced seed by RMG Ghana in the country, which is a hybrid maize seed. So we are not only looking at only importing our seed, we are also looking at also developing our lines and also producing it locally.
Okay, so in terms of the local content, how far have we gone? Or we are just at the scratch or the baseline trying to...
No. If you talk about local content, in terms of agricultural inputs, for us, we see it as something that we have to develop.
Okay.
Yeah, so our aim is to develop it to the extent that at least the local content should be 30 to 40%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Across all your services.
Yeah.
Because you know we have most of the time we have foreign breeds of seeds. Even in terms of animals, we have foreign breeds coming into the system. But we feel that we have what it takes to engineer production in our country without going in for some of the foreign ones that we have. For example, with rice, we know we have local seeds that could come up with greater yield without the foreign ones. I don't know what you make of that case.
Yeah. I mean, you may be right or you may be wrong, right?
Okay.
But that's why we are saying we are not solely looking at always importing our seeds.
Okay.
Because even with there's a seed protocol, there's the regulations that encourages seed production. We are a member of NASDAQ, National Association of Seed Traders in the country. We also have our own system that will even have mandated seed producers to produce seed for us. So when it comes to our seed portfolio, and I must say, let's say for the seed that we do 50-50. So we have the local content that we have seed producers producing our rice seed for us. And I've also said that we have been able to even release a local seed variety for maize. And we are the only first company, private company to
come up with that
innovation, to be able to release a seed in the country. We also have been able to release other varieties in partnership with our external partners, stakeholders. So for the seed, I must say 50-50% in terms of our portfolio. We have 50-50. Yeah, local content and the foreign content.
We cut across the cereals, the vegetables.
Yeah, because to be frank with you, we even have a local variety for pepper. We call it Shita Adupe. This was a collaborative effort between RMG and the Crop Research Institute. Yeah, Shita Adupe. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Let's come to the state of agriculture in Ghana. I know where you said you may have a broader view of the state of agric in Ghana. What will be your perspective?
I must say, still, we have a lot to do to develop agriculture. If all efforts, all policies are geared towards agricultural production, because you look at the dynamics, they will say Ghana is 60-70% agriculture company. You go to other countries, it's only 3-4% involved in agriculture. They are feeding the whole country. So what is keeping people out? There should be so many things. There should be policies that would attract a lot of the stakeholders to go into agriculture. Because, you know, sometimes you want to get a loan from the bank. They see it as a risky venture. But there are so many innovations, there are so many technology, there are so many inputs that is available that can enhance agricultural production. So if all stakeholders will see agriculture as the driver of our economy, that will be good, because we have the soil, we have the weather, we have the water bodies. If we don't destroy it by other means, it's available for us. The support and the drive and the policy, and I think we will be there.
So you think we don't have that support?
We have the support because there are so many programs that government have undertaken.
Exactly.
So many projects, and currently the major one running is the Planting for Food and Jobs. I might not be able to talk about the past. I mean, let's deal with the current situation, which is encouraging a lot of food production. So if that is well implemented and everybody is on board, that will be one of the good avenue to increase production. And so also government policy of making fertilizer available. I mean, that is also a way of also encouraging increasing production. Government also policy of also getting good seed, improved seed for farmers. If that also is done vigorously or pursued, that will also increase our production. So it's a collaborative effort between the stakeholders. We have the financial institution who need to understand agriculture not as a risky venture, but as a means to ensure food security for us.
So why is it that most often than not, the financial institutions, the banks and what have you, are not so much confident in releasing funds into the agricultural sector? What may be their reason?
Well, I might also say that we have specific banks into agriculture, which was ADB, and others would like to come on board to finance agricultural production. Some also look at risky because they look at its rainfed, they look at the weather, and they also look at the farmer base. You know, now that we are encouraging farmer associations, because the bank will look for other collaterals which the farmer
may not have.
But what will be the security or surety for them that if I give out inputs, if I give out funds or loan to support agricultural production, will I be able to make my money back? So then what the banks are now doing is to partner known agricultural input companies to ensure that they have a farmer base registered, that they can be able to return back their money. Because, you know, the banks are also working, the financials are also working with people's money. They also look at the weather. They think that if the weather fails, there will be no what yield, and therefore it's the produce that will bring the returns. So they also look at the weather, and they cannot really predict the weather. So it encompasses a lot of things, not only the financial institutions, our weather system. Do we have accurate data? Can we have somebody who will be able to predict that from January to February, this is the weather pattern, March to June, this is the weather pattern available, so that when you are doing production, you are assured of what your yield. So in our small ways, that's why we are saying that we also have introduced irrigation system that will support agriculture production. So if you have a huge irrigation system, then that has been solved, because the farmer, financial institution, the input provider knows that there is enough water available to irrigate the crops to get the yield. Yeah.
So Per, what you said again, what do you think is the top priority in the agricultural space? You know, we have the farmers, we have the farm, how do you call it, the machines and everything. Per our current situation in Ghana, where do we lack the most, and where must we invest the most?
I would like to say we need to invest in all the areas.
Yes, but in the midst of scarcity, which one should we give much more preference to?
I would have wished that we should even propagate youth, or not even youth, any entrepreneur, anyone who has money to go into agriculture production. If we are able to drum, because now you get people and interview them, what's your first job? They will think about, I want to work in the financial institution. Yeah,
because farming has not been repackaged.
Repackaged,
exactly.
Yes. So if it's being repackaged, well, that's where in our own ways we are trying to even repackage farming as an attractive business.
And how do you do that?
We are even having a whole field that we call it living fields. Living fields, where we are strategically going to have over, the first phase is going to be 100 acres, and that will be replicated across the country. There will be a hostel facility. We will have interested graduates to come in, and a plot to be allocated to you, a plot. Then you are going to farm. So when you farm, you get your produce. We are looking at you learning agriculture, developing the interest in agriculture. Then after a year or two, you leave the place as a hostel, kind of an incubation area. Then strategically, you have developed the interest. So if you get 3 or 4 people leaving that place, they can come together, get a tract of land, and start producing. That's what we need. So at the end of the day, you get people who can then employ people to go into agriculture. That alone, for him to develop the interest, for him to have it, that's doing this, I'm better off. Why should I be moving around searching for job? 2, we have decision makers. Not everybody who might come from the house will go into production. Somebody will be a decision maker, maybe in a financial institution, or maybe in government, or be in someone who knows the benefit of agriculture. So based on that experience, when anything related to agriculture, you can roll back that experience and make a decision that will favor agriculture production. So if you're able to do all those things, then if you're able to encourage our educational system to see agriculture as a business, to see agriculture not as a punishment, but as a business, that when you go into agriculture, these are the benefits. I always say there are certain countries that have competitive advantage. Certain countries are into automobiles, certain countries are into electronics. Africa, and for that matter, Ghana, agriculture is our main stake.
Exactly.
We have been producing cocoa for years now, and cocoa has been the backbone of our economy. It's an agriculture-based product, right? So if we put all our efforts into developing agriculture, to making it attractive, that's the breakthrough for our economy. So that's every government would like to put more effort into agriculture production.
Okay, so then you made mention of a good point where we should encourage the young people to go into agriculture. But I have seen a lot of adverts on televisions. I've heard a lot of ministers, people speak about the fact that we need to encourage our young people to go into agriculture. Yet we don't have that kind of drive and enthusiasm to go into agriculture. What will you do specifically or uniquely to ensure that you're able to sustain that drive and encourage young people to go into that venture?
I mentioned the living fields system where we will be housing young graduates, young people per criteria to stay in the house.
Yes, that is one intervention. Yeah.
Also, we have a partnership with the youth in agriculture. In that partnership, they provide inputs. We also provide technical support. We provide our team. So we get the inputs and we partner them. And we have done this partnership for 2 years now in maize production and rice production. And it's targeted to the youth. And this partnership has really, really, really been very fruitful. Now, within the northern part of the country, within the Sisala East and Sisala West the area, we have a lot of youth going into maize production based on this partnership. When you come to the BA, you come to the Ashanti region, within the Ejura enclave, within the Atebubu, Amantin, that zone, we also have commercial partners. And all these commercial partners are youth, like us, who are leading the drive there. So we have them, we call them commercial partners that we are working with. We give them the inputs through partnership with the youth in agriculture, then they cultivate. So at the end of the day, then they will have to pay back the input with the produce.
Okay, so I've spoken to a lot of young people across the various regions in Ghana, and then some, especially those who study agriculture in the higher institutions and they graduate. The basic problem is that we try to invest so much into coming up with the best seeds, coming up with the farm products and everything, but our challenge has been the storage and the marketing process. For example, some few months ago, we had watermelon, a bumper harvest watermelon across the country, but you just go to the market scenes and most of them get rotten. What are some of the interventions to make sure that we're able to store or save our food product for the scarce period as well?
Yeah, I would like to say this has not been just yesterday's or just today's issue.
Exactly.
It's been part of our agricultural system. When you study agriculture in the first year, I think someone will say agriculture 101. We will talk about production and storage. All these things have been lectured. And also we have, I think the institutions are now bringing up post-harvest technology as a course. But this all involves the various stakeholders in the chain. One, there should be an off-taker who will be available to off-take the produce. There should be an accessibility from the farm gate towards the market. The produce can be at the farm gate. How accessible is it back to the off-taker? When the off-taker comes, which are the other markets? Do we have enough markets in terms of shops, supermarkets? Also taking it up and what? Selling. Do we have enough processing companies? Because we used to have a lot of the processing companies which will process our tomato, who will process our maize, who will process even cocoa. That has been our major. We still are not processing enough
here in Ghana.
So it's a chain of issues. We need to get investors who will have interest in processing this produce. We need to revive all our companies, all our industries, all our factories that are involved in the processing. What will be available? Because it also involve government. Government also giving all the necessary incentives to these companies to ensure what our import strategy. Because we are in the global village, we're in the global world.
Exactly. We don't even determine the market price and everything.
Sure. We sign to World Trade, and you cannot say, I'm not allowing this A or B. But what we can also do is to the mindset of the Ghanaian. Eat local. Eat local. Because you develop your market when people start chasing a product from your country, a produce from your country. If you have a lot of local rice available, and all the Ghanaians, all Ghanaians says, look, I'm going to eat local rice. What happens? People will start producing local rice. But if our taste is foreign, then you force people to import. If our taste is to go for processed juice in bottle, you force people to import.
Yes, but you are a major player in the field. What can you do? Because we've heard some of these statements over and over again. For example, when you travel across the continent, rice, for example, in Nigeria, they eat their local rice. When you go to Tanzania, all the major African countries, they eat their own local rice. But it seems to be different in Ghana. And then we keep on outlining interventions and everything. But what must be done to ensure that, I mean, if I go to the market and I don't find the foreign rice on the market, and I have enough of the local rice on the market, I will be forced to buy. But in situations where the local rice, we are not producing them, when I go to the market, I will just find myself buying the foreign.
I must say, this is kind of a sea, and we are also part of the sea, in the sea there, but in our own way. That's why I talk about the Weta rice projects, the Copper Connect. We have farmer associations that produce local rice for us. We call it Edianehine rice. We have our local maize also coming from the north. So in our own way, we are doing the input at the same time, ensuring that the production is done here, and we bring it onto the markets. This is our system. But we alone cannot be able to solve the problem of the whole country.
Exactly.
So should we get about 10 or 20 of us doing same, we have enough production of what? That particular brand on the market. But mind you, it's just like our clothes, African wear. You know, at a point, I mean, people don't even wear the African print. But there was a point that you said Friday wear. That started encouraging more people to go into wearing Friday wear. And I think that is also helping out. But what we need to know is, you produce, you need to get people also to appreciate that produce.
The product, okay.
Let people also say, wow, let's eat local. Let's take our local food. Let's encourage people to eat our local produce. That's the way forward, because now there are a lot of processed food that people would like to do fast food and go. I mean, just bump in, pick one or two, it's gone. And most of these are always imported, right? But what can we do? Because it's all about the mindset. I'm saying if you don't have the, we should.
The mindset will never change. I mean, if I go to Accra Mall and I find a long grain rice from Thailand, and then I find one in Ghana, okay, you have given me that choice. I will pick the one from Thailand because I am assured of the quality, I'm assured of the taste. But if I go there and I don't find any rice product from Thailand, and all that I see is Edianehine on the market, I won't go back home hungry. I will pick it up. So why don't we put in strategies to make sure that we cut down a lot of the import that come into the system and encourage our local farmers to produce more? I think that demand and supply.
Yes, I understand the point. That's, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's a chain of stakeholders, because in our small way, this is what we've done. When you talk about importation of products into the country, we don't control. It's policy. What has the country assigned itself to? There are so many dynamics when it comes to importation, right? But I will always say that, what are the campaign, right? Because we have our core business to do. There should be another campaign. There should be a movement that, look, this is the direction we are going. Eat local, and these are the benefits. So once we start drumming it, I mean, you can start from the kindergarten up to, by the time you get to SS, that always when you see local, made in Ghana, it is the best. Always. At the end of the day, when the person is making decision, he knows that I have to go for my local produce.
But Mr. Yakub, don't you think we've done a lot of these? I've seen most of these adverts on TV. I've seen all the policies. Everyone you interview will tell you it's a policy thing. But I believe that if the Ministry of Agriculture is calling for a stakeholder meeting, RMG is a key player there, and everybody will all seem to be dancing around the same concept.
Yes, so
don't you think we've given so much liberty or freedom? We are not tackling the issue of making sure that, look, within this month we are not bringing these products, or we are gradually reducing the importation and improving the local brands that we have? It looks like we are not so much there to take that difficult decision or that bold step.
Yeah, you are right, but that's policy, government policy. That's the decision of the states and what we ascribe ourselves to. That's why we are seeing our own ways. This is what we have done.
Okay.
But when it comes to, cutting certain importation, there was this hula baloo about trade, the other foreigners into our trade. But there are certain countries who don't allow certain products to come in.
Not at all.
And that's government's decision. That cannot be a decision of a small company.
So why can't the government of Ghana take that decision?
That should be
For example, in Nigeria, you can't import rice. They eat their local rice. Go back to when Rwanda wanted to do away with the second-hand clothing. They banned it and they made sure that their local content is kind of enhanced. Why can't the government do same?
I'm sorry to say I can't answer that question. I can't give an answer to that particular state. Why government cannot do? I think this should be our leaders should be in the best position to make those decisions. Why they are not allowing, or why they are not banning certain products or produce from certain countries, where they don't have a list of banned products. When you talk about the poultry industry also is crying about importation of the chicken.
Exactly.
But there's another school of thought that says we don't have enough capacity we don't have enough production. And if we don't have that chicken to supplement diet of kids, we end up also having malnutrition for kids. So there are so many dynamics when it comes to importation of products.
Yeah.
So some countries have the power, or may have the strength to be able to say, I'm not allowing this to come in based on ABC and their geographical location, their competitive advantage, whatever they can benefit at the end of the day. But I might not be able to talk for Ghana in terms of such banding of this. I know if there's such decision, there might be certain benefit that might come with it. There might be certain disadvantage. So I think the state will have to weigh all options available and know what to do at a particular time.
Okay. I'm sorry I'm asking you a lot of hard questions, because I know where you sit. You are an influential player. You made a good example using the poultry scenario. Don't you think that the Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana, or the people who go into poultry farming, they have the capacity, if they are given the full attention, they have the capacity to feed the market in Ghana and even export?
Yeah. That's what I will always say. If we see agriculture as business, and we always provide the necessary interventions, and we go by that intervention, why not? Because we have all the environment is conducive to be able to produce enough to feed. So we need to get all the structures. We need to get, because for the poultry, it also links to agriculture. There should be enough maize for them.
Exactly.
So you cannot develop the whole sector of that. You have the hatcheries, you have the feed, you have before they can even do the feed, you need to get enough maize into the system. You understand?
Exactly.
So it plays
more like a food chain.
A food chain. So the poultry industry can never thrive without getting enough of their feed from the production of maize. You need to have enough production for soya,
which I believe we can produce.
We can produce maize enough. So it interlinks.
Okay.
So all those sectors, so you cannot develop one sector thinking that I've been able to finish the other one. Interdependency.
Okay.
I depend on you, you depend on me.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
So we need to see, it's a holistic thing, yeah.
Okay. So assuming you are a Minister of Agriculture one day, what would be the hard decisions you make to promote agriculture in Ghana? Given the resources, you are given the opportunity, what do you think must be the major decisions that you will take to promote agriculture beyond the lip services that we give to our constituents?
if it comes to, I will just have to zone the country into their competitive advantage where there's maize production. I know in this zone, this is a zone for maize production. I will ensure, because another issue is our land system, which affects agricultural production. To even get a land to farm is an issue. So I will make that decision that let's get banks of land group. So farmer associations, let's have all the dedicated banks. Let's have dedicated companies. Zone the country into the competitive advantage. So I pick the north, I give you the cereals, you are what? All necessary support that should go into production will be channeled to that place. It will be a target driven. So if you are the, let's say, the district or regional minister, in collaboration with the states, we'll give a target to the region. Look, we need 100 or 1 million or 200 metric tons of maize from your region.
Exactly.
That's your target. Produce for us. Whatever it takes for you to produce, we need it from you. We move to the cocoa sector. We zone the country into the cocoa region. Look, these are the regions that we are comparative advantage in terms of cocoa production. We need, let's say, 1.5 metric ton of cocoa. What do you need? Let's go for it. We need vegetables. This zone, you have what? The capacity to produce. We zone the whole area. We are giving you a mandate to produce X, Y, Z tons of for us. So at the end of the day, we should be able to zone. Then we should be able to now get off-takers who assign that, look, in this zone, I'm off-taking everything to put onto the market. We should be able to get processors or encourage processors to come on board. So in all, there should be a fund. And that fund, when you assess it, you have to what? Remit back into the fund.
Exactly.
I support you, you do the production, then
bring back the money.
Back. And it should be stringent, because it shouldn't be a point that people will just see the fund as a means of making money. They go for it, they just move around and buy Land Cruisers and buy cars, and there will be no production. So at the end of the day, you
a proper monitoring evaluation. Yeah.
So you come, we assign you the fund, and you're in the zone. So we zone the country and we produce. So at the end of the day, we know that, oh, our grains will be coming from the north, our vegetables will be coming from the south, because we have a very good vegetable system in the Volta region, the Keta stretch, where we can say, okay, we are saying, Volta region, give us vegetables to support the country. Whatever you will need strategically, we go to Volta region, we will sit with you, we'll do everything. We are giving you the mandate, produce for us. Maize, we go to the Ejura Enclave, we go to the Sisala East and West Enclave. You have the strength to produce maize for us. Go ahead, do it for us. Then we go also onto the cocoa zone. We also have to encourage commercial agriculture.
Exactly.
That's the way, because, for example, the irrigation system, if somebody is having a 60 hectare and he irrigates, I mean, that is going to give you a huge production. Because now what we are doing is like a subsistence. Everybody plants 2-3 acres to
feed his family and very little to sell.
We can still encourage that one for production. But if still we encourage that one, there will be enough food. And if you encourage the commercial production, there will be huge food, there will be abundance of food. Then at the end, we can also import to other countries to get foreign exchange. It's strange that we are still importing tomato from Burkina Faso into the country. But we have onions. But have the comparative advantage to produce a lot even to import. So we should look at the zoning of the country and give mandate to each area to produce, and I think that will be the way forward.
That's a beautiful manifesto if you are being given the opportunity to be the agric minister. But finally, do you see some resemblance or similarities in the planting for food and jobs that the government has per the strategy that you have given within the shortest time? Do you see some similarities? What are the possible challenges that plan has for the future of agriculture in Ghana?
I think one thing about the planting for food and job is that it has been able to catch up. It's like a household name in the country, one. And two, why is it planting for food and jobs? So you plant, you get your food, you get your job. It's a good strategy. So, and it's also making the necessary input available. Because the planting for food and job is giving seed, it's also giving the fertilizer, but there are other aspects that they can also include. They have included certain chemicals, especially in the control of the fall and growing. So I would like to see if it can be a package. Yeah, like if you are giving a whole package to the program, like we don't give a wholesale fertilizer, but it should be in the form of a package that people can ascribe to the Planting for Food and Job, but they are providing a holistic package. So if I'm going into the Planting for Food and Job, I should come and say, well, I'm a company that will say, I'm going to look at maize. I have all the protocol for maize production, and I'm going to provide all the protocol for the maize production. So that the farmers within that zone will assess the whole protocol. Because if you give the farmer only the fertilizer and the seed, and you don't give him the insecticide, what happens? So let's give him a whole protocol package. Then that can be an aspect of the Planting for Food and Job that companies can also look at. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Yako, your final words to the entire country, your stakeholders, the farmers, the government, what will be your final message to everyone to make sure that we put agriculture on the topmost priority of the country?
Yeah, we always say agriculture on a sustainable basis. That has so many meanings. That's for food security, environmental friendliness, and also ensuring that the farmer has worth, income into the farmer's pocket. So there should be the conscious effort that everybody see agricultural production as a business.